ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Before we proceed with our text, last night there was a question about the pramanam, Vedanta being pramanam. In what way is Vedanta pramanam? Pramakaranam pramanam, that which produces valid knowledge, is called pramanam. As we know, for example, eyes are pramanam, the valid means of knowledge for revealing colors and forms. Ears are the pramanam for revealing sounds. So every pramanam has a unique application, meaning that eyes alone can reveal colors and forms. No other organ of perception can do that. That's the uniqueness of the pramanam. And the knowledge it reveals is valid knowledge. So Vedanta is Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam. Vedanta, which is Upanishad, is called pramanam, a valid means of knowledge for the self, for Brahman. So then, does Vedanta do something similar to what the eyes do? Eyes reveal colors and forms. Say, pramana traditionally reveals its corresponding object. If Vedanta is pramanam for the self, does Vedanta reveal the self? Is Vedanta pramanam in a conventional manner that it reveals its object? If Atma or Brahman is the subject matter of Vedanta, would you say that Vedanta reveals Atma? No, because Atma is self-revealed, self-shining. You do not need Upanishad to say that I am. that I am, that I am conscious is self-revealing. No effort is needed for me to know that I am. Where in pitch dark condition where I cannot see even my hand, there also if somebody asks me, are you there? Yes, I am here. How do I see myself? Do I hear myself? I am here. Let me verify. I do not need to do anything to verify that I am. I may need to verify that I am awake. I need to verify where I am. But that I am, nothing is needed to verify that because I am is self-revealing. Therefore, Atma is self-revealing. Vedanta does not reveal Atma. Eyes reveal colors and forms. Vedanta does not have to reveal Atma. In what way do you call Vedanta Pramana? If Pramanam traditionally reveals its corresponding object, Upanishad or Vedanta does not reveal Atma because it is self-revealed. So what does Vedanta do? What can Vedanta do for that which is already self-revealed? What can it do? Point. Remove it. Right? Very good. So, Atma is known all right, but it is wrongly known. We all know the self, that I am is fine. If that was all my knowledge, that would have been wonderful. But with I am always something is attached. I am a man, a woman, happy, unhappy, doer, enjoyer. With I am something or other is attached. So this is how I know myself as a karta, bhokta, sukhi, dukhi. I know myself all right, but then I know myself wrongly. So Vedanta does not have to reveal that I am. Vedanta has to reveal that my notion that I am happy or unhappy is wrong. Somebody correctly said that it is not by revealing Atma that Vedanta is Pramanam, it is by removing ignorance. But ignorance in what form, you know? Ignorance in the form of these various notions or conclusions that we have about ourselves. Each one of us is born with an opinion or conclusion about ourselves. That I am so and so. And that so and so is invariably limited. That I am limited. I am lacking. I am wanting. That is a general knowledge or notion I have about myself. Now, if that did not cause any problem, then Vedanta is not needed. If I am comfortable being a limited self, comfortable being lacking and wanting, you don't need Vedanta. But I am not comfortable with myself. I am not comfortable knowing that I am lacking or wanting. And that conclusion or notion about myself is the cause of all my unhappiness. Therefore, what Vedanta does is removes that notion. Ignorance in the form of these false notions. Of course, false notion can be there when there is ignorance of avaram, but that is avaram business is by inference. What is evident to us is the vikshepa, meaning that the wrong notions. And that is what Vedanta does. This is neti neti. You know what neti neti? Brahman is not that, Brahman is not there, Brahman may be anything, that is not our interest. I am not that, I am not that, I am not that, Asthulam, Ananu, Akharasu, I am not cross, I am not subtle, I am not long, I am not short. Thus, Vedanta, and it makes me see that the conclusions I have about myself are wrong. And Vedanta does not simply say that you are not a limited being, but shows me how I am not a limited being. Meaning that Vedanta provides the reasoning also. How can you say I am a limited being? I know I am a limited being. I feel I am limited. My experience I am limited. Is it not so? Everybody experiences that I am limited. So we experience I am limited. The thing is that we experience I am, and we experience limited. You follow? We experience I am, and we experience limited. Not realizing that this I am and limited belong to two different locuses. I am belongs to the subject, limited belongs to the object. Limited belongs to the body. Limited belongs to the mind. So limitedness is there, someplace. But not where I think it is. You see what I am saying? Yes, there is limitedness, no doubt about that. There is I am, no doubt about that. But I am limited. In that statement, I am belongs to I, the subject. The limited belongs to body, mind, the object. Not realizing that I am performing a miracle, I am doing something which is impossible to do. That's how Bhashyakara begins his Adhyasa Bhashya. Something not possible. And still that is done. So what I am doing habitually is that I am is my nature, and man, woman, happy, unhappy belongs to the body, mind, sense complex. Anatma, Drishya, but I am lumping them together and concluding that I am limited. Thank God that it is merely a notion and not a reality about me. Although, if limitedness was reality about me, I would have been comfortable with it. We are always comfortable with what is the true nature. Fire is comfortable with being hot, no problem. As Bhashyakara says, some worm is growing in a poisonous place, is comfortable with poison. Some plant growing there in a place which is poisonous is quite comfortable. Meaning that everything is comfortable with its nature. If limitedness was my nature, then I would have been comfortable with it. But I am not comfortable. Moment I conclude I am limited, I become uncomfortable with my own self. Thus that discomfort or dissatisfaction arises with my own self to begin with. I am uncomfortable with myself, I am dissatisfied with myself, I am unhappy with myself. Because I find myself a limited being. My unhappiness is with you originates from my unhappiness with myself. If I was happy with myself, I would have been automatically happy with you also, regardless of who you are. If I accepted myself unconditionally, I was satisfied with myself, I would have no difficulty at all in being satisfied with you, however you are. Isn't that wonderful? That's how a wise person is. Wise person is happy with what is, regardless of how it is, because prajahati yada kaman, this knowledge makes him a non-demanding person. Prajahati yada kaman, meaning that when he gives up all desires, a better way to understand, he gives up all demands. A wise person makes no demands upon anything or anybody as to how it should be. We make demands upon things for our own comfort, understand? Don't sit like that. Sit this way. Sit straight. Keep standing. So I make demands upon others for my comfort because I am not comfortable with myself. So when you conduct yourself that way, then I become comfortable with myself. That's is a funny thing. That I am making demands upon the world for me to be comfortable with myself. And as long as I am uncomfortable, I'll keep on making demands in different ways. I may not express them. I may not say that to you. You may not even know, but then it will be there in my mind. Discovering comfort in myself makes me free from all demands, all dependence, all bondage. Atmaneva, Atmana tushtaha. The wise person is tushtaha, contented with himself, by himself. Very simple description. Sitaprajnasya ka bhasha. What is the characteristic of a wise person? Simple characteristic. Atmaneva, Atmana tushtaha. He is tushtaha, contented with himself, by himself. So that is what Vedanta reveals. Vedanta doesn't reveal Atma. It doesn't have to. Because we already know that we are. But we take ourselves to be lacking, wanting, and therefore discontented with ourselves. Therefore, Vedanta makes me see that, hey, this lacking, wanting is not reality. That belongs somewhere else. The lacking, wanting belongs to an Atma. So Vedanta teaches Atma, Anatma, Viveka, separating self from the non-self. So that way Vedanta becomes pramanam for knowing the self, not by revealing the self, but by removing the notions or false conclusions about myself. As somebody said, by removing ignorance. Ignorance in the form of false notions. Ignorance in the form of false conclusions about myself. So that is how Vedanta is pramanam. Vedanta is not pramanam in conventional sense, where a pramanam conventionally reveals its object. Vedanta does not reveal Atma, does not reveal Brahman, because to be is the nature of Atma. It just reveals, what it does is, it removes my false conclusions about Brahman or Atma. In that sense, Vedanta becomes a pramanam for self-knowledge, in that sense. There was a question last night, Atma aprameya, somebody said, is immeasurable, how can Vedanta also reveal Atma? It doesn't have to reveal Atma. Vedanta is not pramanam by way of revealing Atma, is pramanam by way of removing the false notions or ignorance of Atma. With that now we can proceed with our text here. Open the page 7. We'll again read the passages. ये आत्मा अपहत पाप्मा विजरः विमृत्युः विशोकः विजिगत्सः अपिपासः सत्यकामः सत्यसंकल्पः सः अन्वेष्टव्यः सः विजिज्ञासितव्यः सः सर्वांश लोकान् आप्नोति सर्वांश कामान् यः तमात्मानम् अनुविद्य विजानाति इत्यः प्रजापतिः उवाच. Once upon a time, Prajapati uvacha, Prajapati said, Ya Atma apahata papma, etc. In that, the apahata papma, vijaraha, vimrutyuhu, vishokaha, vijigatsaha, apipasaha, all of these are the characteristics of Atma that is devoid of all attributes. Nirvishesha Atma. So Visheshas are being negated in Atma. Apahata Papma, devoid of Papa. Vijaraha, devoid of old age. Vimrityu, devoid of death. Vishokaha, devoid of grief. Vijigatsaha, devoid of hunger. Apipasa, devoid of thirst. Thus, this is the language of negation, that all visheshas are attributes. All means some. I mean, you cannot, there are countless visheshas, and therefore you keep on negating. The idea is that a few are negated, which means that Atma is devoid of all the visheshas. In between now, Satyakamaha, Satyasankalpaha. Atma is Satyakamaha, of unfailing desires, meaning whose desires never fail. Satyasankalpaha, unfailing will, whose will always gets fulfilled. Now these two describe Atma with attributes. This is not so with Vishesha. So how come in the description of Atma is primarily Nirvishesha, where all Visheshas were negated earlier, that Upanishad, the Prajapati includes these two, Satyakama, Satyasankalpa. Question arose. So Bhashyakara says that is to show Satyakama meaning one of unfailing desires, so desires never fail. Satyasankalpa, one of unfailing will. Now these are not the inherent nature of Atma. These are nature of the Upadhi called Maya. Therefore, Atma is Upadhi. Upadhi of Maya. He Satyakama, Satyasankalpa. Meaning that this attribute of unfailing desire, unfailing will, they belong to Maya, to the costume of Atma. So why you put in these two in between, So you so beautifully describe Nirvishesha Atma, in between you are inserting Satyakama, Satyasankalpa. So Bhashyakara shows that the purpose of doing that is just to show that Nirvishesha Atma and Savishesha Atma are one. Not that there are two Atmas, one Atma devoid of all the attributes, other Atma possessed of attributes. There are not two. That the one who is devoid of all the attributes as though possesses the attributes. So as though Satyakama, as though Satyasankalpa, as though one of unfailing desires, as though one of unfailing will. This is important to understand because the wise person knows Atma. He knows himself as apahata papma, vijaraha, vimrutyuhu, ajigatsaha, apipasaha. Swami, wise men also become satyakama, satyasankalpa. So does wise person also become, does he have now the power of fulfilling all his desires and all unfailing desires, unfailing will? Does wise person become like that? Wise person knows himself as what? As nirvishesha atma. Because visheshata's attributes belong to the upadhi. And wise person also has upadhi like you and I. He also has a body and a mind and intellect. However great they may be, still they are limited. Therefore, no wise person can be the one of unfailing desires and unfailing will. Meaning satyakama, satyasankalpa, they cannot apply to a wise person in primary sense. Because wise person knows himself as Atma, there is Nirvishesha, and these are not the attributes of Nirvishesha Atma, attributes of Upadhi of the Atma. Satyakama, Satyasankalpa. We should know that. And somehow Prajapati inserts these two. Just to show us that Nirvishesha Atma and Savishesha Atma are one, they are not two. Satyakama, Satyasankalpa, Saha Anveshtavya. What is Anveshtavya? Shastracharyopadeshahi Jnatavya. So two words are Anveshtavya, Vijijñāsitavya. Anveshtavya has to be known. Vijijñāsitavya has to inquire into for realization. That is the translation. So what is the difference? Known and realization. So therefore these two words are explained. Anveshtavya, Shastracharyopadeshahi Jnatavya. You must know that Atma says this is to be known by Shastra Acharya Upadesha. This Atma is to be known, no doubt about that. But the Anveshtavya, meaning that has to be investigated, meaning that you have to know the Atma through the Upadesha of the teacher and the scriptures. So somebody may think that one has to independently investigate into the nature of Atma. He says, no, that inquiry into the nature of Atma should take place with the help of Shastra and Acharya. Acharya the teacher. But teacher also does not teach us something that is independent or independently thought of by him. Teacher also teaches only that which is in keeping with the Shastra. Meaning that teacher unfolds the Shastra or scriptures for us. Teacher also does not teach something that he has visualized or imagined. Yes, every teacher has his own unique method of communication. Every teacher may use different illustrations, different models. So that way there are variety, as many teachers are there, as many varieties are there. That's what makes the whole tradition very rich. But then where the teachers differ, if they do, is only in the method of communication, in the illustrations, examples, etc., not in what they basically convey. Shastra Acharyopadeshahi Jnatavya. This Atma is not to be independently investigated. You don't start thinking, who am I? Although that is what Ramana Maharshi is said and well. But then, Vedanta does not start with who am I. Starts with what? I am Brahman. So Vedanta starts with I am Brahman, not who am I. What do you mean being? Swami starts with them. What is superior? I am Brahman. In what way am I Brahman? Right now, I take myself to be a very limited being. I am a limited being. You can call it I am a jiva or I am a limited self. And this one starts, I am Brahman. So that is how investigation takes place. Not who am I, but I am Brahman. How can I be Brahman? I know who I am, Swamiji. I know that I am limited in every way. I am a helpless creature. How can I be Brahman? Now that is a question. So Vedanta will ask us, you please tell us, how do you say that you are a helpless creature? You tell us that. Don't ask how I am Brahman. Please ask yourself, when Vedanta says I am Brahman, how, on what basis do I say that I am a limited being? See, that is the way to question. Not how can I be Brahman. That is given. What is Pramanam is Vedanta says you are Brahman, so I am Brahman. So that is how we begin, understand? I don't begin by saying that I am so and so. How can I be Brahman? No. Vedanta says Tattvamasi, you are Brahman. So that is the starting point. I say that this is an orange color, but I kept a yellow, handkerchief last night. How can that be orange? No, you can ask that. Because I say this is orange, but I thought it was yellow. That's what you thought. So you have to correct your thinking, not what I say. Similarly, Vedanta says, you start with this. Vedanta says I am Brahman. Not who am I? How can I be Brahman? Question, how do I think I am a jiva? How do you arrive at that conclusion? So, I am asked to challenge my conclusions rather than what Vedanta, how can I be Brahman? That is not the question. I don't challenge what Vedanta says, how can I be Brahman? No. Vedanta says I am limitless. I think I am limited. What reason do I have to say that I am limited? Oh, I know, Swamiji, I experience I am limited. I know it, that I am limited. Whatever you know is invariably different from you. If you know limited, the limited must be different from you. Because if you experience something, that is different from you. Therefore, if you experience limitedness, that cannot be you. Is it not so? So this is how the teacher will help us understand things. Shastracharyopadesha hi jnatavya. That's the reason why whether you want to use vichara, word vichara is used for shastra vichara. Although vichara is often translated as inquiry, but I would prefer to translate word vichara as a deliberation. Deliberation upon the statements of the Upanishad. We don't perform inquiry as to what Atma is. Upanishad says, you are a Brahman now. How? So, now deliberate upon the meaning of that statement, how I am Brahman. But I think that I am a limited being. Please explain to me how you are limited. Then I realized that I was born, but then something was born. I am unhappy, something is unhappy. I am so and so, something is so and so. That is how we are guided to recognizing that all my conclusions arise from identification with Atma. So I have to see myself how my conclusions have a basis, and that's a wrong basis. Then I can give them up. I can give up something when I recognize that it is not right. Shastra acharyopadesha hi jnatavya. Thus Atma jnatavya, to be known by the Upadesha of Shastra, which Acharya, which is based on Shastra. So Visheshena jnatam eshtavya vijijñasitavya. Visheshana jnatum eshtavya, vijignyasitavya. So, what is the difference? Swasamvedyatam apadahitavya. Bhashyakara says that you must make it your own knowledge, meaning that aparokshataya jnatavya, atma shvidano aparokshataya, as my very self. Now, these two words, anveshtavya, vijignyasitavya, although they seem to mean the same thing, are explained this way. Anveshtavya, investigated, meaning that you should listen to the exposition of Atma from the lips of a teacher who will unfold the scriptures. And then what is your job? Your job is to make it aparokshataya jnatavya. You should make it your own. You should recognize it as your own self. So that's your job. Anveshtavya, vijignyasitavya. So then teacher does something and the student also has to do something. Kim tasya anveshanat, vijignasanat chasyat. Suppose all this anveshanam is done, vijignyasa is done, then what happens? Sa sarvamsha lokanapnoti, sarvamsha kaman. Sarvamsha lokanapnoti. He attains all the lokas, attains all the worlds. Sarvamsha kamanapnoti. He attains all the desirable objects. What is attainment business? By knowledge, how do you attain something? Knowledge doesn't make you do anything, doesn't, is jnapagam nadu karakam, meaning knowledge doesn't do anything. How do you attain all the worlds? How do you attain all the desires by knowing Atma? What's the connection? But elsewhere, knowledge of Atma is tasma tat saram abhavat brahmava idamagrasit tadatmanamyavet ham brahmasmiti tasmat tat saram abhavat. Upanishad says that brahmava idamagrasis, this was Brahman, Agre also. Earlier also, the one sitting in front of Acharya is Brahman, even though he or she may not know. Tadatmanamyavet, as a result of the teaching of the teacher, recognize the true nature of the self. How? Aham brahmasmiti, that I am Brahman. So what's the outcome of that result? Knowledge. Tasmat, tassaram abhavat. By virtue of that knowledge, he became everything. Now that's interesting. By virtue of the knowledge of self, he became everything. How can he become something? So what it means is that he was everything. But he thought that I am only little thing. Now that notion has gone away and now he recognizes that I am everything. I am the self of all. So what is the knowledge? Knowledge is sarvatmatvam. The knowledge is I am the self of all. That I am self is known to me. But right now, who am I? I am the self of this limited body, mind, sense complex. I am the self of this much. So I am self that I know. But I am the self of this limited upadhi. What's the knowledge? I am the self of all. How is that, Swamiji? Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanu pashyati sarvabhuteju cha atmanam. See, Ishavasya says that I am the self of this upadhi. That is clear, isn't it? I am the self of this body, mind, sense complex, right? Am I the Atma? I am the self of this body, mind, sense complex. Is that right? In what way? In what way am I the self of this body? By being witness. That I am witness of the body, witness of the mind, witness of intellect. By virtue of being witness, I am the self. So is the self, the witness, then I am witness of everything. Therefore, if I am the self of this, I am the self of all. Anyway, so that is the knowledge. So that is how all the limitedness goes away. I am self of this entity, meaning I am only confined to this one body-mind complex. I am self of all, meaning that I am not confined to anything, I am limitless. So that is the result of this self-knowledge. Not that I become all. I am all. But then I identify with this body and think that I am only confined to the body. And therefore I have a sense of confinement, which is my projection. So sarvatmata, sarvatmatva apattihi, the attainment of the state of being the self of all is the result of this knowledge. But here it says, Sarvamsha Lokanatnoti attains all the world, Sarvamsha Kaman attains all the objects. Yes, what is said that he becomes the self of all. So how come these two things are different, described differently? Result is only one. There we should understand that only. Even though Upanishad says, Sarvamsha Lokanatnoti attains all the worlds, Sarvamsha Kaman attains all the desires. That attainment is not that he attains all the worlds and attains all the objects. How will that be? That will be, if you get all the objects of the world, that would be a miserable thing, is it not so? How would you deal with that? You become the emperor of the entire universe and all that. I don't know that you would necessarily care for that. So that apnoti, attainment, cannot be primary sense. Apnoti is only recognition that I already have them. How do you say that? Because I know that I am the self of all the worlds. So sarvam shalokan apnoti, by recognizing that I am the self of all the worlds. Sarvam shakaman attains all the desirable objects, recognizing that all objects are mithya and therefore are already attained. So even though attainment is said to be the result of the knowledge, is not attainment. Recognition of what is only can be the knowledge. Knowledge cannot do anything. Knowledge enables us to recognize what is. So recognize what I am. Hey, I am the self of all. There is nothing apart from me. And therefore everything is attained by me by virtue of my being the self of all. Therefore, when the Upanishad says, Sarvamsha Lokanapnoti Sarvamsha Kama, not that something unusual happens to this wise person. What is already a fact is recognized by the wise person, which the otherwise does not recognize. That's the only difference. Sarvatmata phalam bhavati iti, so Bhashyakara says, the phalam is Sarvatmata. He recognizes that I am the self of all. Okay, let's go to the next passage. Tad uvaye devasuraha anubudhere teha uchuhu hanta tamatmanam anvichamaha yamatmanam anvishya sarvamsha lokanapnoti sarvamsha kaman iti indro haiva devana abhipravapraja virochanah asuranam tauha asamvidano eva samitpani prajapati sakasham ajagmatuhu. Tad ubhaye devaswara anubudhire. Devaswara ubhaye. Both the gods and the demons anubudhire verily heard that. Anu, as it passed on from person to person. So Prajapati made a statement for the world. He just says this. And knowing that some people are hearing that statement. So some people around Prajapati must have listened to the statement that Atma, Apahata Papma, etc., etc. So told somebody. And Karanopakarana Paramparaya, that is by word of mouth, slowly this news or this information, I should say, reached Deva Asuraha. It reached Devaloka, meaning reached the heaven which is the abode of the Devatas or gods, and reached the another world which is the abode of Asuras or demons. That was the intention of Prajapati. Of making the statement, intention was that the statement should become well known. Let the world know that there is something called Atma, who is Apahata Papma, Vijaraha Vimrutyuhu. That there the knowledge of that one should gain the true knowledge of that Atma. And by gaining the knowledge, when you attain, one attains all the worlds, attains all the objects, let this be known. Otherwise, how will people know? If Prajapati did not say that, nobody would suspect that knowing the Atma is required. I thought I already know Atma. What's the big deal about Atma? I already know. Says, no, anveshtavya, vijijnasitavya. Atma is devoid of the sin, devoid of hunger, devoid of thirst, devoid of old age, devoid of death. And then, anveshtavya, you must go to a teacher and listen to the teacher. That is how it has to be investigated, inquired into. And not only that your duty is over by listening to a teacher, that you must make it the knowledge of the immediate knowledge, aparokshataya jnatavya, you must know it as your own self. This has to be done. This may not occur to anybody. Anveshtavya, sounds like vidhi means has to be done. Because this may not occur to a human being that I should know Atma. You never think that I think I should know myself. I think I already know myself. That I should know myself. I don't know if that question arises in somebody. It may, but everybody thinks that they know who they are. But Atma, Apahata Papma, Vijaraha, Vimrutyuhu, that Atma has to be known. I never realized that. Oh, am I Apahata Papma, Vijaraha, Vimrutyuhu, Vishoka? Is that what I am? And that's how I have to know myself. How do I know myself? Anveshtavya, must go to the teacher and then listen to the teacher and deliberate upon the nature of the Atma Upanishads. Then what do I have to do? Then vijijnasitavya, you must make it the object of your own immediate knowledge. So this kind of thing will never occur to human beings. You know what I'm saying is, that is the reason why Prajapati uttered this and make it, in the cosmos, cyberspace. The statement was uttered in a cyberspace and it slowly reached. So this is a great upakara performed by Prajapati. Understand that. Prajapati thought that he has to say that because otherwise it will never occur to human beings that there is something like that to be known. They will always be after the world and the lokas and the kamas, and that's what they will always interest them, and they will be after them, and they will want to know what lokas there are, what kamas there are, what objects there are, what is what, where is Hawaii and where is, That's all they will inquire into. That there is something like that also to be inquired into that would never, because it's taken for granted that I know who I am. And then I know I want to be happy, but for being happy I must go to Hawaii, I must do something, or I must get something, I must experience something to be happy. And there is There is nothing that will change that conclusion of mine. What I am saying is that there is nothing that will change the conclusion. I keep on acquiring new things, gaining new experiences and think that's good, and then let me have some more of that. And that's how the life goes. That I should know myself. Would it occur to anybody? It may not occur to human beings. Therefore, Prajapati said it. And Prajapati just in cyberspace. So that is how Devatas also came to know by the word of mouth, and Asuras also came to know by word of mouth. Then they realized that, yes, there is something Atma to be known, which they may not care for. They may be. But then, by knowing that, Sarvam Shalokan Apnoti, Sarvam Shekaman, by knowing that one attains all the words, one attains all the karma, that's what interests them. Meaning that what it is outcome that interests anybody to do something. Even though Lord Krishna says, Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, perform your duty, do not make the outcome as motivation of action, let action be the motivation. But basically a person is motivated by the outcome. That's why Lord Krishna wants to bring about a fundamental change. But, his outcome. So, the knowledge became valuable to Devatas and Asuras because by that knowledge one attains all the lokas and attains all the kamas. Hey, then we want to know that. So give them a carrot, Because when they will know, they realize that lokas and kamas have no value. You follow? When they will truly know themselves, I don't care for any loka and kama because I am complete by myself. Then these lokas, the worlds and kamas, objects will have no value. You follow? Or they will realize that by knowing myself, already attained them. The attainment of what is already attained, not attained of something which needed to be attained. But right now, this is what you say. That is what interests Devatas and Asuras. Both of them, they want to conquer the whole world. So, see, this is how Prajapati did to motivate people to do something that they would otherwise never do on their own, is to investabhya, vijijñāsitavya. Never occurred to anybody that, Atma, myself, is to be known, myself, is to be realized. So that is how Tatchaubhay Devasuraha Anubhudhire, by word of mouth, the Devatas and Asuras came to know. Teha Uchuhu. So Swakarana Gocharam Gocharapannam Anubhudhire Paramparagatam. By word of mouth, it came to Devaloka, it came to the Asuraloka. Then, when they heard this statement of Prajapati, what did they do? It says, Teha Uchuhu. Then they responded to that. Anyonyam. The Devatas then started talking among themselves, and also Asuras, the demons, started talking among themselves when they heard this. Hanta, ye anumatir bhavatam prajapitana uktam tam atmanam anvichhama tam anvichhamaha. Teha uchuhu hanta tam anvichhamaha. They said hanta. So the Devatas, in their own conference now, the Devatas discuss with each other, and the Asuras in their own conference also discuss with each other. And said, Hanta, if we have your permission, if you permit, then tam atmanam anvichhamaha, then let us search for that self. Anvichhama, let us search for that self. Yam atmanam anvishya sarvam shalokan apnoti sarvam shakamaniti by knowing which one attains all the worlds and all the desires. So if you permit, in that conference they discuss, the Devatas discuss in their own conference, Asuras discuss in their own conference. Hey, if you permit, if you think it is worthwhile, then let us inquire into the self by knowing whom or knowing which this is the result. They decide that yes, we want to know. So then they have to select somebody. Indro haiva devanam avipavabraja. Indro haiva raja eva swayam. Not some ordinary devata was sent for this investigation, for this knowledge, but Indra himself volunteered to go to Prajapati seeking this knowledge. It's not an ordinary thing. How did Indra go? Devanam itaran devamsha bhoga parichidam sarvam sthapayitva. Indra did not go with his retinue. Indra goes on Airavata and surrounded by other bugles and whatever and all these. No. Indra left all his luxuries, all his comforts, all his devatas, assistants, attendants, all his dresses, all his luxuries, everything he left. Sharira matrana prajapatim prati abhipravraja. Indra just took himself. He took his body, that's all. Meaning that he took himself and went to Prajapati. Even though Indra is the king of all the gods, I guess the most accomplished person, the wealthiest person, most possessed of all possible luxuries, and then all of that he gave up. Tatha virochana asuranam. Among asuras, virochana, that king also did the same thing. He also gave up all the luxuries. Why is it so? Vinayena guraha gurava abhigantavyaha iti. This much they knew, that we must approach the gurus with humility. You cannot go to guru with pomp and show. So king also used to go to the guru on the elephant, then come down the elephant and then, fall at the feet of the teacher. Not that he sits on the elephant. Yes sir, I'm here. I'm here for Brahma Vidya. Will you please teach me? So this much everybody knew. That in order to gain knowledge, you must fall at the foot of the teacher. Because knowledge flows from higher level to lower level. So traditionally, symbolically, the teacher sits at a higher level and the disciple sits at a lower level. Because just as water flows from higher level to lower level, so also the knowledge flows from higher level to lower level. There is an exception. Where was the exception? Where was the exception? Famous exception. Now you are too high for me. What about Bhagavad Gita? Where was Lord Krishna sitting? He was a charioteer sitting at lower level. Arjuna is the boss. He is Saraswatiji sitting in a higher position. So, Lord Krishna broke all the traditions. Arjuna, come down. No. Then I'll teach you. In fact, the picture shows he turns back like that, One hand is holding the reins, keeping all the horses under control. He turns back. Arjuna is, straight looking. So Lord Krishna turns back with the Jnana Mudra. Jnana Mudra Krishna Gita Amrita Duhe Namaha. So all traditions are broken, is it not so? Meaning that the Guru does whatever is necessary because to him is important is the well-being of the Shishya. So he doesn't wait for all the conventions to happen. Anyway, so this is how Indra and Virochana, both of them, with all the humility, approach the teacher Prajapati. We will continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om